Hi, this is Kristy with Guidepost to Wellness. Thanks for joining me today on my channel where I talk about anything and everything that can do with an autoimmune disorder or a chronic disease. And this channel is dedicated to the over 25 million Americans alone that have been diagnosed with at least one autoimmune disease. And what I wanted to talk about today is this concept of identifying with your disease and the mind-body connection. And this is really, I think, a very fine line to understand about how it is important to feel empowered and take charge of your illness, but also not to become victimized and end up disempowered and believing everything that everybody tells you is going to happen because of your disease. So for those of you that aren't familiar with my story, I was in the military and I spent 6 years, which is about the average time, being told that I was a woman, I was just stressed out, it was all in my head, and even though I would be coughing up blood and chronic bronchitis, I was actually tested for mono multiple times. Never had mono when they tested me, but then they later found out that I had mono, but just muscled through it anyway. So in the military is a challenging environment for women and, well, for anybody, but obviously for women, it can be a very challenging type of environment, and I know it was for me. And it took until I literally had fluid crushing my heart, my lungs were filling with fluid, my kidneys were failing. I was to the point where the doctors told my parents I was going to die before they figured out what was wrong with me. And to me, knowledge is power. So even as I was lying alone before my parents got to the hospital, they were trying to stabilize me to do emergency heart surgery, I had heard them mention the term lupus. And so I actually asked the nurse that was taking care of me that night for a medical dictionary. She thought I was crazy, but she found me one because this was long before smartphones and everything. This was 1994. And so I looked up what lupus was because I wanted to understand what they were saying, what this meant, and that knowledge was powerful because having been undiagnosed for so long and being told it was all in your head, it was helpful for me to have a name so that I could start researching and asking questions and feeling empowered in that way. So that's where knowledge can be power, to finally have a name to the monster that you're trying to fight, right? But it's really important to not become a victim to that. And I have to say, I'm a facilitator with the Lupus Support Group, and I've worked with the Lupus Foundation in North Carolina for over 20 years. And that is something that I still find challenging, is the number of people that come to the support meetings and literally are so identified with their illness that it becomes a contest of my lupus is bigger than yours. Oh, the doctors have never seen anything like this before. The doctors are amazed that I can do this. And if you take that in the right context of I am in charge, I'm going to do the things that I can to support my health, I'm going to do what the doctors say that's supportive of me, I'm going to keep pushing if I don't feel like I'm getting the right medication or the answers, that's the right thing to do. That's the empowering way to identify with the illness and to be your own advocate. But on the flip side of that, I've also run into people that only do what their doctors say. They don't change the way they eat. I find it extremely frustrating. Even people that are extremely intelligent and know that, for example, and I'll talk more about this, I want to do some videos on this, sugar is very inflammatory. And I'll see folks that are in the middle of a lupus flare, and they'll either come to the meeting with giant sugary drinks, or they'll talk about, yeah, I've been feeling so bad lately, I've been having to go to Dairy Queen and have a large blizzard every day. I love comfort foods. I've got some videos on comfort foods, and I love Dairy Queen, by the way. But I also know that that's very inflammatory, and that's not something that's going to help my disease. So I'm going to make better choices for that. Hence my tagline: better choices, better health, better life. So it's a fine line from being empowered with the knowledge of your disease and becoming victimized by it. for example, I was diagnosed when I was not even 24. I was 23 and a half. And if I had listened to everything that the doctors had told me at that time, I would not be working full time, would not have a business, would not have gotten my master's degree, would not have become a health coach, and would be on disability. They said 75 to 100% disability. And I refused to accept that as my fate. So that's where I started working with my doctors, and found doctors that listened to me. And when they knew that I didn't want to be on a bunch of medications and things like that, they supported me on making those changes because I worked with them. And it's very, very important to realize I'm not a doctor. And unless you actually are a doctor with an autoimmune disease, you want to make sure that you've got a supportive group of medical advisors that are going to help you, because it's important to make sure that you don't just take the worst case scenario and just accept that as your fate, because it's important to, like I've mentioned before, to recognize what your disease is. That knowledge is power. Sometimes that can be very helpful, getting your family members to understand what you're going through and to educate them, but it's really also not a label, because I'm far more than my lupus or my Hashimoto's or anything else. I'm a whole person, and working through my health issues over the years has just been one part of my life. And that's why, again, it's important to make sure that you are surrounded by supportive family and supported medical advisors and things too, because to be empowered with your health is to take control of the things that you can. So follow the things that the doctors tell you to do with the medications, but also trust your instincts and listen to your body. If I hadn't listened to my body, I might have died before I had actually gotten a doctor to do a chest x-ray and to really listen to me that I was not well. So it's important to tune in and listen to that, and listen to new symptoms and know how your body feels and how you handle things, but then take charge of the things that you can, doing everything that you can to get the best sleep and rest that you can, whether that is not using an electronic device, to having your room cool enough and blackout curtains, essential oils, whatever things that you need to help you sleep and get the best rest that you can, to making sure that you are moving even when you don't feel like it, finding the right ways to move your body in order to help you sleep better and to help with the inflammation. Making sure that you're making the best choices around what you take in to nourish your body and your mind that you can. And I do say nourish your body and your mind, because it's important to keep yourself motivated and have uplifting types of things around you too. And the biggest one for me at my time in my life was managing my stress. So again, it is I think it's powerful to know what your disease is, and if you're going to be a lupus thriver, or you're going to celebrate and educate your people about your disease, I think those are all great things to do. But just remember, you are more than your disease, and to balance being empowered and taking charge of everything that you can and controlling your thoughts and that mind-body connection, to being a victim and believing everything that could possibly happen, and having manifest destiny as you get sicker and sicker and sicker, because that's what you believe is your destiny. So again, this is just my story and my take on it, but I am definitely not my disease. I am far more than that, and I've accomplished a lot more than people thought I would, and I think everybody has that capability to live the fullest life possible. If you're interested in getting any type of support and adding a health coach to your team of medical advisors, check out the link below. I am used to working with doctors and nutritionists and everything of that nature to help you have the best habits and the best life to support your illness. So if you're interested, check out the link below. Please feel free to subscribe, and definitely share this video with anybody else that you know that has an autoimmune disease, and I look forward to talking with you again soon.